Now I've had a little look at Ocean software in the past. If you refer back to my Navy SEALs video from the A to Z of licensed games, I had a look at them there. And who knows, they may be prime candidates for one of those big ol' wise and full documentary type videos that I do one day. Anyway, to cut a long story short, they were for a time one of the UK's most successful software houses, and one of the ways they got there was through a whole load of movie tie-ins. A lot of these games are utterly forgettable, as is the case with most movie tie-ins, but if you asked people to name their two most famous ones, well, one would be Robocop, Ocean's tie-in game that was top of the Specky charts for about 2 years and was bloody good indeed, and the other would probably be this, Batman the Movie, Ocean's tie-in for the biggest blockbuster film of 1989, a monster hit that ended up being the packing game for Amiga 500 bundles, selling the computer by the shed load here in Europe. This particular Batman movie has a whole load of tie-ins associated with it, of course, and unusually almost all of them are excellent. Mind you, this one isn't as famous or well regarded nowadays as Sunsoft's NES or Mega Drive games, but I used to love it as a kid, whether it was here on the Amiga or on the Spectrum for that matter. But maybe I should have looked at the Spectrum one instead, cause the Amiga game just hasn't held up to time, and I come to this video having shoved a Batarang through the heart of my childhood memories. It might end up being a rather bitter and salty affair. But for the computer people, those little computer people, this was the tie-in of 1989. This ain't gonna be nice. Batman follows the classic Ocean tie-in formula. It doesn't just stick to a single genre. The game is bookended by two fairly large platform levels, and in between that you get one quick puzzle level, a driving level, and a flying level. The platform levels are where the game is best. They're large and quite maze-like, but you can swing around the place with your grappling hook and throw batarangs at endless villains. It's not bad at all and still holds up somewhat. The problems lie with everything else, basically. It starts with the driving stage, which, at least here on the Amiga, is a nightmare. If you go too fast, you end up crashing into everything. Seriously, the Batmobile goes flying everywhere. And while it might look sleek, the steering's not particularly great. You have to take every turn by firing your hook out of the side and wrapping it around a lamppost. And this might look good, but it can be fucking annoying, especially when you're desperately trying to avoid traffic and failing because the controls are so horrible. And did I mention that you only get 3 lives in this whole game, and losing them means going back to the start? And there's a very finite time limit. If you try and go slow in order to navigate your way around the traffic better, you'll run out of time. If you go fast, you'll crash into everything and the Batmobile blows up. It's bloody hard, even with a trainer. It's hard and it's frustrating, all for the wrong reasons, because the controls are a massive pain in the ass. Up to accelerate, it's juddery, it's nonsense. But it is nothing compared to the Batwing stage. In this stage you have to use the Batwing to cut the rope and send the Joker's Smilex-filled balloons floating harmlessly away. There's 100 of these balloons. There's 4 minutes to cut them in. Controlling the Batwing is hell on earth. You control altitude with up and down, but to increase speed you use up and fire. For no reason. And you have to get the altitude just right to cut a balloon. Too low and you crash into the installation, too high and you pop it. Every balloon that you even just miss takes your health away, and you can't go too slow because of that hideous tight time limit. It's all the problems of the driving stage only doubled. It's fucking horrendous. An absolute shit show. Now I recall that on the Spectrum, where the driving and flying stages are side-on, doing them were quite a lot easier. Still hard, but doable. This is virtually impossible though, and unfortunately I've never come close to beating this stage, not even with the trainer. So I can't show you the final level, another platformer that takes place in Gotham City Cathedral. Shame that. Sadly, Batman the movie has just not held up at all. Ocean's minigame frenzy just makes the game go all over the shop, and just when you think it's going well, it goes into a nosedive. Robocop held up a lot better in the end, and is deservedly the most famous ocean tie-in game. It's a shame, honestly, because I always used to prefer this when I was a kid. But this is one of the pitfalls of doing old games. After so long in the fridge, there's a chance, just a small chance, that they might begin to smell funny. We shouldn't forget though how successful the game was, and how crucial it was to the success of things like the A500. It might not look it, but this game sold just about every machine it appeared on. In these days when the old Tim Burton vision of Batman couldn't be more unfashionable, it's easy to forget that in 1989 it was everywhere, one of the biggest cross-media hits since Star Wars, and this game played a significant part of that for computer games folk. More than that, it allowed Ocean to catch lightning in a bottle for a second time, confirming them as one of the most successful software houses around, even if they didn't necessarily have the best critical reputation. A game that should absolutely be remembered, but you should perhaps try your best to keep those good memories. Do yourself a favour and don't dance with the devil in the pale moonlight. See you tomorrow.